8.3 Administration of fitness tests. This slide shows the client consultation and profile. This slide shows the client's documents, PAR-Q and informed consent. Reasons to defer or terminate testing. Reasons include the client having a sedentary lifestyle at the request of the client, contradictions from the screening test, extreme exhaustion, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, low or high blood pressure without clearance from a doctor, irregular heartbeat, equipment failure, and cramps or pains. Standing vertical jump test. The protocol for this test is to attach the meter around your waist and the jump mat on the floor. Stand on the mat, wind the wire using the blue dowel until it cannot go any higher, and finally jump as high as you can with your hands on your hips and read your vertical reading in centimeters. The requirements for this test is a tacky jump meter and mat. Sit and reach test. This test involves sitting on the floor with legs stretched out straight ahead along with shoes being removed. The soles of the feet must be placed flat against the box, with knees being locked and pressed flat to the floor. This may be harder for some people, therefore the tester may assist by holding them down. When stretching, the palms must be facing downwards and the hands must be on top of each other, or side by side. The subject then reaches forward along the measuring line as far as possible. They must ensure that the hands remain at the same level, as if one reaches further forward than the other, the test is invalid. After either practice reaches or a warm-up, the subject reaches and must hold the position for 1 to 2 seconds while the distance is recorded. The requirements is a sit and reach box and meter ruler. Hand grip test. The subject holds a dynamometer in the hand with the arm at a right angle and the elbow by the side of the body. The handle of the dynamometer may need to be adjusted to suit different participants' hand size. The base should rest on the first metacarpal, the heel of the palm, while the handle should rest on the middle of the 4 fingers. When ready, the subject squeezes the dynamometer with maximum isometric effort, which should be maintained for about 5 seconds. No other body movement is allowed, otherwise the test is invalid. The requirement for this test is a hand grip dynamometer. 30-second sit-up test. The subject lies on their back with their knees at a right angle and feet flat on the floor. The subject attempts to perform one complete sit-up in the standardized way as fast as possible for 30 seconds. The feet are not allowed to be raised off the floor. If they are raised from the floor or a sit-up is incomplete, the participant may get a warning, but if given too many, the sit-ups will not count. The requirements for this is a mat and space. Stalk balance stand test. With shoes off, lift the non-supporting foot off the floor and place inside of the supporting leg, resting against the inside of the leg near to the knee, and finally, place your hands on your hips whilst holding this position. Subject is allowed 1 minute to practice balance, and the goal of the test is for the participant to hold the balance for as long as possible. The requirements for this test is a non-slip surface or a mat. Skin fold caliper. Skin fold measurements can be taken from 3 to 9 different sites around the body, although the right side is usually only measured for consistency. This tester pinches the skin at the site to raise a double layer of the skin and the underlying tissue, but not the muscle. The calipers are then applied 1 centimeter below and at a right angle to the pinch, and a reading in millimeters taken 2 seconds later. The mean of the 2 measurements should be taken. If the 2 measurements differ greatly, a third should then be done, then the median value taken. The requirements for this test is a skin fold caliper. Sit and reach test. On the first attempt, the client scored 20.2 centimeters. On the second attempt, 20.9, and on the third attempt, 20.7. The client scored excellent results in this sit and reach test. Despite of this, I believe an increase in flexibility could be useful for him in his sport, with better ball control and tackling. Also, results may be slightly less as results were increased His client's knees were not completely down due to pains. Skin fold caliper test. The first test was done on his bicep and had a caliper of 3. The second test was done on his oblique and had a caliper of 5. The tests were done in 2 different locations, the bicep and oblique. Tests were done to see if there was a chance of client losing body fat, but both tests showed that the client was lean in both locations tested. Attempt 1, 13. Attempt 2, 9. The client scored very low scores in both attempts, which indicates he may have a weak core strength or may have bad muscular endurance, which should be improved on to help him in his sport. Attempt 1, 23 seconds. Attempt 2, 21 seconds. The results from this test show that the client has below average balance, but may not be completely accurate as he had a lot of weight on him, such as heavy clothes along with distractions. This may have slightly lowered the client's score. Hand grip test. Attempt 1, 54.2. Attempt 2, 52.4. Attempt 3, 56.7. The client showed above average ratings for his test results. If the client were to include other components such as strength and balance, he would not have to worry about getting pushed off the ball as much. Standing vertical jump test. Attempt 1, 54 centimeters. Attempt 2, 49 centimeters. And attempt 3, 44 centimeters. The tests were carried out in 3 different ways. The first attempt allowed the client to use his arms for momentum when jumping and therefore scored above average. For the second attempt, the client jumped off of one foot as he had an injured left ankle and again allowed to swing his arms for momentum. For the final and third attempt, the client was asked to jump off both feet from his toes due to his injury again and was not allowed momentum. Justification for the standing or vertical jump test was because the client plays the position of a striker and has a height of 6'2". He will be present in almost all corner kicks. Because of this, vertical will be important to have a better chance of scoring the ball in the air with his head. Balance. Stalk balance test. The justification was because of the client's position, he will be jockeyed a lot when on the ball, and balance can help prevent this. Therefore, balance is important for the client and his sport. Flexibility, sit and reach test. When trying to control the ball from a pass that is not on target, flexibility can help to reach the ball and gain more control, and can also help the client when challenging players and tackles. Strength. 30-second setup test. The client is pushed a lot when on the ball, therefore a good call would be important for the athlete to hold off defenders or hold the ball for longer. Strength. Hand grip dynamometer test. Arm strength can be useful when holding players off, when the ball is being held by Leo and when trying to create space between players in the box to allow for an easier heading opportunity. Body fat composition, skin fold caliper. Due to his position, the client needs to be fast, therefore less body fat would be ideal to improve speed. The risk assessment. The client achieved a score of 13 sit-ups. The average for this test is between 20 and 25. Therefore, I believe he should increase his core strength. Core strength should be improved by Leo because it will allow for him to handle more jockeying from defenders, which is important because he is a striker, and holding off defenders allows him for more space to shoot. I would recommend him improving this by working through various different core exercises, for example crunches, sit-ups, planks, etc. These should be done every night, 3 or 4 times a week, to allow for rest. An example of an exercise the client could do is 20 crunches every minute until he's reached 200, or if too easy, do it every 45 seconds or 30 seconds. This type of exercise can be done at the house of the client and doesn't require him to go anywhere and does not require equipment. With these exercises, muscular endurance can also be improved, which will also help the client. The client received a score of 23 and the average balance is 25. Therefore, I believe the client should increase his balance. The client had a below average balance, which can help in his sport as balance can help when trying to beat a defender For example, if Leo was trying to do a step over and then run past the defender, he would have more of a chance of running past the defender if he had a bit of balance. I would recommend using a balance ball or practice on each foot, the stalk balance test, every day to increase balance, as it can take a long time to see a difference. There is no oxygen there, therefore this can be done frequently without any consequences, except for the risk of injury, which should be handled carefully. There is a very low level of intensity but high levels of concentration, therefore it should likely be done throughout the day or the afternoon. In this test, the client scored 44 on his vertical jump. The average is between 41 and 50, and improvements will help to head the ball more easily. The client showed a low average standing vertical jump test when allowed to swing his arms, meaning he would be likely to score below average when arms are not swung. The reasons these variations were done were to simulate a game situation in which the client would jump to head the ball to corner, as the players are usually stationary before jumping, and also because the client was injured. Because of the height of the client and position he plays, he is likely to be involved in a lot of corners, and a higher standing vertical would allow him for more opportunities to score. I would recommend to the client plyometric training to increase his jump. This should be done for 30 to 45 minutes each session, as it should be very high intensity explosive training that can lead to quick fatigue. But because the client is injured, intensity should be lowered slightly. The client says he is okay with jumping, but has a left ankle injury and therefore jumps from his midfoot to toes, and with fatigue much quicker. The plyometric training should be done 1 to 2 times a week to allow for rest and recovery. Examples of a workout that could be done is 6 reps of box jumps, followed by 8 reps of squat jacks and 8 reps of Russian deadlifts for 3 sets, with a 60 to 90 second rest between each set.